August the 8th, 2021. Guys, you're looking at models that came in 30 minutes ago. Notice your timestamp at the bottom. That's 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It is 4:30 Central Time now, but this is the new models, and let me say something about it. We've got two storms that they're basically watching now. This is the front storm, and this one's called Invest 94L. This is a very long-range spaghetti model. But one thing about it, it's very tight. You don't have these paths going all the way up into the Atlantic or down into the Caribbean. And the two major models that we watch every year in and out is the Canadian model, or CMC, at the very top of this list on your right, and the NavGem model, or the Navy model, right there in the purple. And both of these are bringing this storm right across the tip of the Florida Keys and into the Gulf of Mexico, and we're 1 week out. We're going to take a look at that. Now, this is the Navy model. This is your pressure or pressure levels through the Atlantic Ocean. And I've said this in the last couple of videos about this season beginning, that there was a very large high pressure area over the Atlantic, and that would be what would steer these storms. And the high pressure, guys, is coming out of the yellow into the light orange and deeper oranges into the red. And as it's sitting there over the Atlantic, these storms that you see are trying to turn north. That's their nature because of the rotation. And it's like they're bouncing off a water balloon or whatever you want to imagine this as, but it's a bubble of high pressure. And that's going to steer these storms south. And so with this high pressure, I think that is one of the reasons that those models are so tight. But I'm going to do a stop and we'll let this play through. But notice coming into the Gulf, timestamp in the bottom right, we're up to right here. That's August the 16th. And let me just go back a couple of frames here, because right here, this is the 14th coming up. What is that? 6 days away. The center of circulation is about to start its trip again across the Florida Straits between Cuba and the tip of Florida. And we'll go back, and as it enters the Gulf here, this is the 14th. It's moving pretty fast according to this model, into the 15th. Here, strengthening. And let me go back. That's the last date on the Navy model right there, the 16th. So that's 8 days from today. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is not only for give you some time to prepare before you maybe have a rush on gasoline or food at the stores if this becomes a major hurricane. But I've had a boat down in Florida in the Perdido Key area for years. I don't have one there now. But I lost one, my sailboat that you saw in the videos years ago. It was a 2700, an old one that we had kind of worked on and got running pretty good. But Michael got that boat, and it was and it got the entire marina there, Southwind Marina there in Perdido Key. You guys know where that's at. It's next to the Pensacola Naval Air Station. But since I would live a half a day away from the marina here because I'm in central Mississippi, a little bit of heads up is of time to get your boat moved is important, because it's not only folks like from Mississippi, but there's folks from Atlanta, Georgia, through Alabama and other places that bring their boats and leave them in Florida, because it's hard to trailer them that far, and if you got a big enough boat, it's almost impossible. But as you saw in the storms last year, I think it was Sally that tore and ripped through this entire area of Pensacola and Perdido Key and Gulf Shores. Everyone remembers that. They're still recovering. It destroyed the boats that were up in the dry docks and up into the big warehouses where you stack the boats in the boat yards. All of that was taken out in a lot of places. So if you've got boating interest or camper or something like that you can move, this is the time of year to be thinking about that, because we're 1 week away from a system entering the Gulf. And notice there's one coming off the coast of Africa, too, that's larger than the one that you see there. It's a long-term forecast, but the models are showing a very tight path. Another thing to think about, Now, the Canadian model shows pretty much the same path. They're showing a different strength and things like that, but they go out a few days further and a little further north in this tracking path. You're going into the August the 14th here. It's into the Gulf, and right here, it's getting ready to come ashore somewhere between, according to this, and it's going to change some, but between Mobile and Pensacola, Florida, just like Sally did. So, again, this is on the 17th. So you've got 9 days. Tomorrow you'll have 8 days. You're just roughly a week before it's too late to do anything. So all your boating interest, get your boats prepared. If you can, if they're small enough to move, you may want to move them inland. I know some of the big fishing boats down there and some of the charter captains, they will go up river in that Perdido, Pensacola area and tie on and hang on. That's there or out in the cove, and a lot of you folks know where I'm talking about at Fort McRae. But again, here with two major models are pulling this storm right here. And there's one other reason besides the high pressure area that I think the models are going to be very close. Now, this is the Gulf Stream in the Gulf of Mexico. And it's been disrupted quite a bit lately, and we saw some major changes, it seems like, after the BP oil spill years ago. And we've seen it where it really did not even loop through the Gulf very much during some years. But right now, you can see where it is tracking. The yellow areas here are the warmest water. You can see that it comes up the Florida coast, gets very warm right here off the central Florida coast. But if these things coming to the Gulf, they're going to track the warmest water. And that's going to strengthen the storms, and that is right here in this loop. And you notice where Mobile Bay is right here in Louisiana. Now, we know these patterns or these paths are going to change somewhat. But right now, there's a lot of evidence to point to the fact that it's going to be, again, a tight path. Again, these factors, if you add them all together, they will give you a very good prediction. We know it, again, we know it's going to change. We're watching it. Guys, you got some time. You got a week out. So be thinking about it. Think about, some extra food or water in case you have a disaster like Sally again, where they're still working on trees nearly a year ago, and buildings haven't come back yet. Major restaurants on the water are still trying to rebuild. Some marinas are just now getting reopened that were exposed out into the Big Lagoon area in Scambia Bay, Pensacola Bay, Gulf Shores. It just hasn't come back yet fully. Now they've done a fantastic job, but they're still seeing the scars. So be prepared for it. That one should be very fresh in your mind. Again, whether you're in Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and of course Georgia is very close. Now, this is the latest on the information coming from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. It's a 5-day outlook. Your rear storm here has a track that's going to turn it slightly up a little further north than the first storm. It's a 40% chance of development. But right now, this storm right here, called Disturbance Number 1, or Invest 94L, has a 50% chance of development in 5 days. An elongated area of low pressure located several hundred miles east of the Windward Islands continues to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions are expected to be favorable to support some gradual development over the next few days. And this system could become a tropical depression while it moves northwestward at 10 to 15 miles an hour. The disturbance is forecast to reach portions of the Lesser Antilles late Monday and then move near the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico on Tuesday, guys. Tomorrow's Monday. And near Hispaniola around the middle of the week. Interest in those areas should monitor the progress of the system, as it could bring locally heavy rainfall, gusty winds to portions of that area. And the models are showing it's strengthening once it hits that warmer water into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, taking a look at the satellite image of what they call the wide Atlantic view, this is today, and you can see it's already having sunset in Africa. The storms we're watching are right here near the center of your screen and behind it right there. Now, this one again may track a little further north, and some of the models are showing the second storm turning up into the Atlantic. We'll pay attention to it on each of the reports. But this front one here is already showing some signs, guys, that it wants to get a center of circulation down at the low levels, and you're starting to get some thunderstorms wrapping around it. This is what you've got to watch for, what I've got to watch for, and everyone from that point right there forward, just due to increased chances of a tropical depression, then strengthening, and that's when they get deadly, when they get up very close to the southern U.S. border. But guys, we're watching this. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.